According to the Future of Fire Consortium, a collective of ecologists from around the world who assess how fire can inform our decisions on global ecological issues, fire ecology is simply the relationship between fire and populations, communities, and ecosystems. Low intensity fires, as it turns out, not only have the ability to blemish the landscapes they rage over, but also the ability to stimulate growth in some specially adapted plant species. But the wildfires we see in California today are definitely not low intensity, as they burn through years of built up dead debris and foliage, and even scorched plants that were adapted to withstand the high temperatures of wildfires. So, what happened? How did wildfires transition from being a manageable disturbance to an unstoppable inferno? Today, I hope to inform you about the botanical evidence of how fire has influenced the plants at the Stagecoach Trail in Auburn, the history of fire in the Sierra Foothills, and finally, the future of living in an ecosystem prone to wildfires. This area at the fork of the American River, as well as much of the foothills of the Sierra, is considered to be part of a chaparral biome. Chaparral biomes are characterized by their Mediterranean climate, with long, dry summers and short, mildly wet winters. In the drought-prone American River Valley, fires have historically arisen both by natural means, like lightning hitting a tree, and through human activity, like sparks from an electrical pole, and even routine burning by the indigenous Nisenan people. Due to the regular occurrence of wildfires called a fire regime, plants endemic to the Sierra Foothills chaparral biome have adapted some extraordinary abilities that make fire, of all things, beneficial, if not necessary, for their health and propagation. According to a study conducted by UC Davis in 1996 about the Sierra Nevada ecosystem, some traits include fire-stimulated germination, like in manzanita, rapid growth and development that allows for a complete life cycle between fires, like many annual species, fire-resistant foliage and fire-resistant bark, like in ponderosa pine, adventitious or latent axillary buds, like in oaks, fire-stimulated seed release, like in sequoias, further south in the Sierra Range, and fire-stimulated flowering, like in soap plant. The Stagecoach Trail in Auburn is just about the center of the area occupied by the Nisenan Nation. The Nisenan people have been in this area for thousands of years, long enough to realize that every few decades the foothills would catch on fire spontaneously. They also observed the extraordinary ability of the plants in the chaparral to thrive when burned in low-intensity fires. These astute observations allowed the Nisenan people to thrive on the land we walk on today for thousands of years. By setting low-intensity fires in these foothill oak stands at carefully planned intervals, the Nisenan people were able to clear duff and woody debris from the oak forest floors, which not only allowed for an easier time picking up black oak acorns, which they made into a dough, but also spurred the growth of adventitious or latent axillary buds for the oak trees to grow further. Then came the Spanish to California in the 1700s, who introduced disease to the Nisenan people, livestock like sheep and pigs that trampled on the endemic grasses, and non-native species that outcompeted the endemic plants and propagated unchecked throughout the Sierra foothills. These introductions absolutely devastated the Nisenan people, who were not given the opportunity to share their invaluable knowledge from living on the land for thousands of years. As more and more settlers rushed to California in the 20th century, forest fires near upcoming communities in the Sierra foothills, like Auburn, were quenched by local fire departments, and the open oak savanna, once indicative of the chaparral region, became thickets of overgrown and untended oak stands and ponderosa pine. Of course, the efforts of firefighters to stop fires in a community is a public necessity in order to limit the devastation that fires do cause in communities. Unfortunately, however, not allowing low-intensity fires to burn for the past several hundred years in the region has caused a buildup of flammable debris in our forests, ready to ignite into a megafire with just one spark, as we have seen in the devastation of foothill towns like Paradise. As we move into the 21st century, with the historic fire season of 2020 burning over 4 million acres of land in the state, and climate change bringing more irregularity to our chaparral biome, we must seriously consider fighting this problem of fire with literal fire. These efforts have already begun across the state as government agencies aim to burn about 125,000 acres every year in order to clear the forest of fuel adders. Fuel adders are dead foliage or woody fuels that climb to the top of tree foliage and, when ignited, can cause megafires of high intensity. However, ecologists have found that these prescribed burns are more effective in forested areas, not so much in chaparral areas like here in Auburn. This is because the chaparral grasses spring back in about 6 months like nothing happened, still volatile to fires as there are no efforts to clear the landscape throughout the year. This has led some ecologists, like Bryant Baker of the Los Padres Forest Watch, to advocate for a more people-first model towards fire safety in our chaparral. He suggests that as climate change is likely to make wildfires even harder to stop, we must urge leaders to focus on making homes and communities more resilient instead of trying to limit the spread of wildfire through land management. This includes setting a perimeter around your home free of flammable material and having a clear wildfire plan in the event that a fire returns to the chaparral. In this video, I hope you've learned about the importance of fire ecology in the Sierra Foothills, how the Nisenan tended low-intensity fires here for thousands of years, the historic reasons why we face worse fire seasons in the 21st century, and finally, a couple of solutions to keep an eye out for as we continue living in the flammable biomes of California. Thanks for listening.